If you've ever been cheated on, you know how painful it is. It's just heart-wrenching. And you also know that it's not your fault. You cannot control the actions of somebody else. And so if somebody breaks their agreement with you, they're dishonest with you, and they cheat on you, know this is not something that you did that caused them to do this. And so it's so important that we release the guilt or the shame that comes with the feeling of being cheated on so that we can actually heal. And what's most important is there's actually signs that people give before they cheat that you can spot, that you can bring up, that you can have the difficult conversations early on to avoid the experience of actually being cheated on. And so I want to share with you a video that I put together that unveils 7 signs that men give before they cheat to empower you to bring up these conversations if you're seeing any of these signs, to make sure that your relationship is on the right track. And if it's not, then make a decision for what you want to do. Check it out. The first sign is that your man is a rebel. Now, I know you might be a rebel, and rebel energy is attractive. But there's a certain type of rebel energy. We're not just talking about a man who marches to his own beat, so to speak, or a man who's blazing his own trail. This particular kind of rebel is the guy that wants to skirt the rules. And particularly the guy who skirts the rules and then somebody else has to lose because of it. Like in his business deals, he's okay if the deal goes down as long as he wins, even if somebody else loses. So he wants to cut the line, or the deal that he does, he gets the better end of the deal. It's that win-lose energy, because this is the guy who justifies it's okay for other people to lose because he's got reasons why it matters to him. He's got reasons why it's okay for him to win because of whatever reasons and stories he's got going on in his mind. Instead, the rebel who is just wants everybody else to win, but himself to have full freedom and expression of himself, that's okay rebel energy. Be weary of the guy who brings you along for the ride, but other people lose in the process. You cut in front of them in line or whatever it is, because that guy eventually, when it's inconvenient, when he wants to step out of the relationship and have something else, he's going to justify it in his own mind why it's okay for him to cheat, even though you're the one who loses. He picks unnecessary fights with you. If you notice that all of a sudden he's way more irritable, or he's picking fights with you that he never used to pick before, and he's making you wrong in all these scenarios, and the two of you are fighting way more frequently. And here's what's happening, you see. He might not even know he's doing this, but his subconscious mind has a mechanism that's trying to make the relationship painful and uncomfortable, because if the relationship is painful and uncomfortable, then it's easier to leave that relationship, or it's easier to cheat. In other words, he feels guilty about what he's about to do or what he's currently doing. And so if he can make you the bad person, then that reduces the sense of guilt that he feels. So if the two of you are fighting a lot, he's really irritable, making you the bad person, that's definitely something that you want to bring up in the relationship. Narcissistic traits. Now, I'm not saying that your guy is a narcissist, but the narcissism is such an intoxicating relationship because they come across so charming, so fun, so exciting, and so in love with you. You feel like you're on cloud 9 when you're with this person. But when there starts to be drama, the narcissist is never wrong, right? If there's a broken agreement, it's never that person's fault. So if your guy is exhibiting these narcissistic traits where he won't take responsibility, he's blaming you or blaming others or twisting reality and gaslighting, that's something you want to address early and often, because that path never ends well. You're not having sex anymore. So notice that all these are changes in behavior, that there was a one way of being and then there's a change in this behavior. And this one is really important because sex is a reflection of the level of connection and intimacy that the two of you are sharing together. And so if you had a good sex life and then you notice this change, you're not having sex anymore, the sex is dried up, that's a bad sign, because that only lasts so long before you either fix it or the relationship dies. And so sometimes the sex dies and then the man will bring it up and he'll talk to you and try to fix it. Other times he's gonna go and look for that sex somewhere else. So if you notice that the sex is dried up in the relationship, is definitely something that you want to address right away to see if you can get this relationship back on track. Emotional withdrawal. And this is the guy where you notice there's like sudden decline in his emotional connection with you. Like he doesn't want to talk about his day. He doesn't want to talk about your day. He's not interested anymore. He just completely emotionally withdraws. And then you notice his energy is way higher in other areas of his life and his energy is way lower around you. This is a sign that things are not on the right track. And this is a moment where you want to bring that up and either seek out counseling or have conversations in a way that can bring the relationship back to a place of closeness. He's vague and mysterious about his time away from you. Listen, if a guy is in love with you, his time away with you, when he comes back, what does he want to do? He wants to share it with you. He wants to give you every detail. He wants to give you every experience. He's like, look, my boys and I, we went here and we saw this and we did that and we experienced this. You're never going to believe this. When this happened, this other thing happened. And he's telling you all the stories and he's telling you all about it. Why? Because he loves you. You're his partner and he wants to bring you right into his life. The guy where something's off is going to be mysterious. He's going to be vague. He's not going to want to give you any of the details because those details might lead to incriminating evidence. And even worse than that, there's a difference. Some guys are just a bit more reticent. They're not going to share as much. It's just their nature. But where this crosses the line into suspicious behavior is when he gets irritated for you asking questions about the details. And he'll get mad at you and try to make you wrong because you want to know what was going on. Yeah, of course she wants to know what's going on. Dude, she loves you. She wants to hear about your life. And so if you're asking questions and he gets angry just because you're asking for some details, that's a red flag. If you want to know the name of the restaurant that he went to with all of his buddies and he's getting angry, there's no need for that. Maybe you just want to know the name of that restaurant because you want to take your girlfriends there. Or maybe you want to know the name of that restaurant because you're going to take the next hot guy that you date after you dump his ass. One of the main things was a lack of respect in a relationship. That they didn't feel respected. They didn't feel validated. They didn't feel like their partner thought they were doing a good job providing what it is that they wanted. This desire to seek out another partner had way less to do about just satiating a sexual urge. It really even wasn't about that. It was way more about satiating an emotional need that they had, a need to be validated, a need to feel like they're enough. Now, here's what's fascinating. These men love their wives. They love the family that they had. They didn't want to actually blow up the relationship or end the marriage, but they still had that deep need of having someone validate them and dote on them and say that they were enough. And so the solution that they found, and in my opinion, is not a great solution, but they decided to go outside the marriage and while they love their wives, get that validation from somewhere else. Now, no one knows exactly why the respect began to evaporate from this particular relationship. Nothing happens in a vacuum, right? It always takes two to create this relationship. But the very fact that this respect and validation wasn't there, if you want to watch for that in your own relationship, how much are we respecting each other? How much are we validating each other? Because when that dissipates, that's a precursor to either the relationship ending or someone seeking to get it outside the relationship. My question for you is, in the relationships you've been in, what are the red flags that signal either the relationship's going to end or somebody's going to cheat, if you've ever had that experience? And what I challenge you to do is, instead of saying, well, I was blindsided, there were no red flags, that's the easy route. That's like, well, I was perfect, the relationship was great and there were no red flags. But what if there were? What if you could actually really go deep and look and say, what were the signs? What were the things? Because when you can own that, it gives you a way more sense of confidence to say, look, I can spot these things and I can know miles down the road before anything gets off track how to course correct and either release the relationship because I'm not with the right guy or build a beautiful relationship with the right guy. So I hope this serves you. I appreciate you. Here's to you finding your amazing guy, building a relationship that you love, and expanding the love in your life. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.